who is feeling the sensation? Who's behind the feeling? You can't think, you have to sense. And that sense can be even subtler than a feeling. Who is behind the feeling? Who is feeling the feeling? I'll give you a few seconds just to step up or into that. Who is feeling the feeling? Who is feeling the feeling, the feeling? Don't think. Stay with that. You have a body that has such an awareness. And awareness is not a feeling. Awareness is not a feeling. Who is knowing the feeling, feeling the feeling? Who is knowing the feeling, feeling the feeling? If you stay open and receptive, when I say you, who is that? If you stay open and receptive, your body will show you the answer to that question. Who is knowing the feeling of the feeling? Could be through your fingertips, could be through your feet, could be both. Feet and fingertips. Awareness is not a feeling. Awareness is not even a knowing. Who is aware of the knowing of the feeling of the feeling? Be so open to this as though you're just so enchanted, so fascinated. Let that come out through the body, your body of awareness is sensitive. It can tune in, open, become aware. All this is possible because or due to consciousness. You are consciousness. And your body consciousness, the light of consciousness, is aware of everything. Consciousness has different levels of light. On one end, you could say you could dim it down like a light. You could turn it up into brightness. Not that you and consciousness are separate. You are consciousness, aware. And the body you are sitting in magnifies that. It magnifies your nervous system, and brighten the mind to a higher brightness of consciousness aware. The body, the mind, the nervous system, the sensitivity are all one consciousness. They're not separate from you. You are what it is. So this body moves from every point of your yearning, which is a movement, to apparently a finer consciousness aware. Yearning is not something out there, it's what you are. Make the yearning, longing so alive. It's not you reaching for something. You are the yearning happening now. Stay open enough to move from sense and sensitivity into full openness of non-sense, your innocence, your innocence. Pure innocence is what you are. Simply be that, and openness instantly become conscious. Who are you now? What are you now? Not a few minutes ago. You are in a new place right now. Have a sense, have a knowing, have awareness through the body of conscious, aware, knowing, feeling, touching, sensing. Turn your palms up on your laps. Keep your head straight. And gently bring your hands out and upwards, feeling the spaciousness of what is here. Go all the way up, stretch it out sideways first. Palms facing the sky, and your fingertips go upwards to point and poke through the sky. Point upwards and poke through the sky. Make sky your limit. Hold it there. And slowly bring them together into a prayer. Above your head, hand coming together above your head, palm touching, fingers straight, vertical, and at the same time aware of your feet grounding into Mother Earth. You bring the hands downwards past your face, dropping your elbow. Your hands together as a prayer, prayerful hands, and coming down to your heart, to the chest. Keep your palm touching, your fingers straight. Keep everything vertical. And I'm pointing with so many words about your mystery and power. Let's bow to this space that we are. Bow like a good Japanese bow, as though you're meeting your own space. And yet there's only one space. Bowing to yourself. Then when you're ready, slowly sit up. You hold your head straight, your eyes are closed because you're looking to infinity. Keep your hands, prayerful hands in front of your heart. I would like to invite all of us to bow a good, generous bow, not just your head coming down. Have an experience of the power of bowing into your mystery, into your mystic, into your innocence. Bring your body forward and bow into yourself. That's all. You're not bowing to anybody, just to what is here now. And feel it from inside that the bowing is very, very powerful. Sitting up slowly when you're ready. Hold your head straight. Meaning you always know that the spine we got and the only creature called human being can be having an upright spine. It's the vertical timelessness of what is. Slowly open your eyes, but look straight to infinity. Not as somebody, just look straight as the one who is aware, conscious, knowing, feeling, sensitive, touching. What are we touching? Space. What is space? You are space. Look straight, just for now. Eyes open, keep your hands here. Turn to someone next to you. Silently, just turn to someone next to you. If there's no one, just bow. Bow to the other, and that says so much without a word. Yep. Sit up straight. Yeah, you can bow to this guy. There you go. We can become Japanese or the Indian just for a moment, couldn't we? Okay, relax your hands. I hear you're describing what you perceive, yeah? But isn't there space inside too? Just ask Mr. X-ray machine and your space. So it's not just outside atmosphere.
Everything.
It is. If you are everything, what's your problem? Don't answer that one. If you are everything, what's your difficulty? Which means without is within, and within is without, right? Pace. Yeah, of course. It's movement, remember I said? This is why the E is not a full stop. It's an eternally exiting and entry, right? E. I'm just giving it energy. Expand it. Not it. I'm talking about all of us. You think you're somebody with that name, even a gender, but you're so much more. We are so much more. Instant and all the time is the same. Because there's always only this instant, which is all the time. And if you really marry the two, this is where awareness is. Awareness is both instant and infinitely timeless. So why are we so stuck? When everything is the speed of instant and it's happening all the time. So I'm capturing what's coming up. Yeah? You're opening something there. Stuckness is a frozen snapshot, and you're stuck with that snapshot. It's called memory, right? So I'm going to spin that now, because the speed of entry needs a lot of force in that. But the speed of entry is so easy when you turn it the other way around. The speed of letting go. Look at a rocket. It doesn't take off from the ground until it burns and let go so much. May call it shit. Before it could even take off. You've seen a rocket taking off? We have, haven't we? It's a real thing. There you go. That plane is obeying the pull of gravity, so it can fly. Say what you just said, because I forgot what you just said.
I said stuckness.
Oh yeah.
It isn't stuckness, it's an experience.
So we all believe we are stuck. Can you feel it's moving inside? There's no out and in, right? We all believe we are stuck. That's how we turn up this morning. Otherwise, you don't need to come. Have a look from the most subtle to the most gross. And yet, stuckness is an illusion. We have a snapshot of each and every one of you. Do you know that? We have a snapshot of each and every one of you on the wall. Oh, but feel the power, not the power of the power. There's a power there about something else about each of us. And about the whole picture. As mentioned, it could be the human being, it could be the lighthouse, it could be the wave, it could be the wind, it could be just the awesomeness of life itself. That's forever moving, never static, and will never leave you alone. I'm talking to all of us, right? Including the speaker. You'll never leave you alone. If one is not enough to get your attention, you can say the universe will make sure it send a bigger, louder message. A bigger, louder wave. We know this? Yeah, all of us been around life long enough to hear this one, to have this conversation. How many times can you be not buffeted, crash-landed. That's a big word. If you're a lion, tiger, dog with a collar, right? Unleash is like most powerful word. Are you ready to be unleashed? Are you yearning to be unleashed? Or do you go for the leash so you know your next dinner will be coming by the owner? This is a gathering for a dialogue that is rare. And in a brief time, we'll all be leaving this space. So please take full advantage of this. This is a rare opportunity to share what appear like strangers, but you are not. To have a real in-depth conversation we all love to have but never have, even with our family, loved ones or friends. All movement came from stillness. What's that mean? Every movement is stillness appearing to move. What's that mean? Stillness is depth. Remember we talked about how deep we want to be? Meaning, do you want a shallow relationship, friendship, conversation, connection, communication, communion? How deep do you want to go? We can stay shallow, nothing wrong with that. But sooner or later, we all pine to have a depth of meeting, being met, living, and life. Don't we? Even the word meaning implies depth. It's so mean, it's the mean point of absolute stillness. Yeah, the point of pure equanimity. Some people call it tranquility, some people call it absolute nothing of everything. Remember someone said everything, which is nothing? To know everything, you have to be in the still point of the pure mean point of meaning that has such a depth it appears still. When I say stillness, it's not static. Stillness is something that never changes. It's absolute constant. And out of that, everything moves. Yet I'm saying everything came out of stillness and returned to stillness in a millisecond. It's the same as audible stillness. It's called sound. All sound came from silence. So I'm saying pure love is absolute stillness in motion. Not the emotion that human being has, but in motion. And in the stillness, the depth, as though you allow an instant knowing of safety, but not about safety, as in there's nothing to struggle. And it is possible to stay in the stillness, depending how deep you want to be, all day, all time, anytime, anywhere. So one way to tune into stillness, as I say, depends how deep you mean by stillness, is through movement. Because all movement is stillness. In a snapshot of the present moment called now, verticality. This is why we teach a movement like the form practice, for example, in the retreat, because it's a direct entry point into absolute non-movement, stillness. And there may be singers, musicians in this group. An adept musician knows this in the deep. you can enter that zone where in absolute stillness, depth of open awareness, the song came on its own accord. The music flowed on its own accord. Everything moved on its own accord. The blueness is what you see in the deep blue sky, right? It's called absolute boundless spaciousness of nothing. And we human beings has a capacity to awaken or realize all that paradox we just touched on. I'm speaking from this experience I have, which we all have. You just don't notice it. You are absolute stillness in motion. You are the love you're looking for. In fact, love is looking for you. Meaning, you are always looking for you. Appearing even as a flower, a child, another, a lover. But it's all looking for you. Yeah? Where you can realize that everyone is you and you are everyone, and we all share the one and only space called now. So ACE is awareness, consciousness, entering through the speed of exiting. Suddenly nothing happened because everything is what is. So in that space there's a full coming home of blossoming, a fullness of nothing. This is, in some culture, call it full awakening, self-realization of what is, meaning source, where you are and what you are. Yeah? So we caught up in this movie of life. Nothing wrong with that because we need all the experience. And yet the whole movie streaming is just snapshots of an instant moment. Moving fast enough, it appeared to give you a life. Illusion, give you a life. And yet to be fully engaging life is the lessons. Not aloof and looking and spiritual bypassing. Fully engaging life. Relating, relationship at all levels. Pleasant and unpleasant. Are very much part of the dance. Let's just close our eyes for a moment. We touch a lot in a very short time. I want you to just let it soak or land somewhere in you. No mistake. Which means conception is not just prior to conception of the human into a human being. Every moment of a day is conception, is conceiving. And many times a day we have to discern and make choices, apparently, until we learn to flow. So I could sit here and make choice to see what I'm going to say and check where everybody is and work it out. It's hard work. Or I just flow and speak. And so I'm speaking to myself, which is all of you. You collapse the time, space, and distance, and you bow to it so deep, there's a merging of communion. And then there's a communication that's taking place from one heart to one heart. There's only I in this room. There's only one heart. Appearing in many different shapes and dimensions included. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and more. There's many dimensional hearing, listening here, right now. And we're speaking to all and everyone in one voice, universe. For each of us has an influence on the whole planet, global humanity, all the way into the universe of novas. So we forget the power of our influence by doing and not doing.
So if every moment is a conception, then every moment must also be a death.
A death, definitely. Death. So, here's the egg, and that 1 billion trillion little sperm go. You know what he do next? The one and only that able to get in, he dropped the tail. Means no way back, Mike. I have no tail. And it dies into it. Where's the sperm after a few hours? It's gone. It's dead. It shape-shift. And suddenly the pure potential we call egg, pure potential, there's a seed. Every tree you see is a seed, including each and every one of us. Even planet Earth came out of a seed. The universe came out of a seed. Even quantum physics talk about 12 parallel universes. So we are multiverse moving as one verse. That's the stillness in motion. Yeah? We are multiverse appearing as one. Each of us is a complex entity. Quite a bit of our past we don't even like to know about it. But every part of you wants to be met, loved, kissed. The yearning is the welling up again. How deep do you want to go to know another depth of yearning? Because the yearning can be, there are many levels. Same as we talk about forgiveness, there's many levels, right? The deepest of yearning can only be allowed to rise if you have the lighthouse that can take it, right? So the deeper you can surrender into the depths of meaning and stop fighting on the waves for justice and injustice, you start to be able to take on the bigger waves of challenges, the deeper depths of meaning, which simply means the deeper capacity to open and not shut, stay open. We call that surrender, which means pure receptivity. Yeah? In the openness is you are discovering levels or depths of awesome freedom. Freedom is the capacity to be open and stay open in spite of whatever waves coming. So in a very strange way, in our lives as human, we're going to attract challenges depending on how much you're ready to be receptive of. Because what you don't be receptive, you shut that down. You have the power to stop it and play small for a while, safe, which is fine also. As she said, you can stay there until you have enough yearning to go into a deeper, bigger game. which is eventually the deepest yearning is to return home, to awaken to what you are, where you came from, source. Yeah? And that movement is love. The discovering and the learning how deep can you go in your stillness to take the horizontal movement of life. That's learning. The vertical, timeless now, and the horizontal movement of existence. So we're learning to become a being that has enough depth, and consciousness means clear knowing, aware, to be able to discern and step in, not from thinking, this is all beyond mind thing, where you find your life take you to another depth of discovering. This is not intellectual, you can't think about this, you'll blow your head off. But your heart will love this type of conversation. Your heart will love this because it's made from no time and no space. So the deeper you are,
it's good to be broken down.
The deeper you are, the more breaks and broken-hearted you can take.
I said I thought of that one immediately.
You thought or you know immediately?
Oh, no.
A broken heart is an open heart. An open heart gets broken, open even more. A heart that's closed does feel safe until you have enough doing time in that place, you want to break out. The human being that makes the whole difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, because he's like the eye of the storm.
It is.
Yeah.
The eye of the storm is absolute stillness, is what you are. Some of you may be aware, there's a beautiful movie on YouTube, it's free online, called Samadhi. Has anyone watched that one? Samadhi? You haven't watched it?
Yeah.
There's Samadhi Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. It's made by a beautiful guy who, when he done years of meditation, I read about him online, and he came very much to the last bit. He was about to enter the house of God, you could say, right at the end, you know. And suddenly his mind came up and said, what's going to happen to me? In that moment, everything collapsed. He's back in Mother Earth. So that final bit is what we call full awakening, yeah, realization or samadhi, where you became that, all that is. That's a total surrender and death. In a very deep meaning and powerful meaning of full life. Yeah. It's not like a right and wrong thing, because that moment is always here now. It's never out there, really. For there's no time and no space. So how long is your longing? How deep is your yearning? How passionate are you?
Does that in a sense?
It is. I mean, I can speak from where I went, because it is the depth of all depth. But you come to a place of surrender, which is, you didn't surrender, you just come to a place where you find there's nothing left to lose. Right? Everything that's so meaningful collapse. You know? I'm talking about years. To a point where there's still this deep, unrelenting unrelenting yearning to wake up to that ultimate truth. Yeah? And the final trigger was me for the first time receiving the form, which in its purest meaning is a movement of pure nothing. It's a movement of pure love. And in that moment, there is a match in the receptivity. And suddenly, there was no gap. You become that you're yearning. And everything collapsed, as in there's like a pure death of everything into nothing. And the whatever is known about this one completely disappeared, even existence disappeared totally into this unspeakable place of pure fullness of nothing. It's the best I can say this. And yet there is a consciousness knowing that remember when one apparently came back into this body. I was still sitting in a chair. Physically, I didn't go anywhere. But everything happened inside. And the whole room was like, there was a group of 26 and women were screaming their head off because of this power that descends. I mean, this one went through a very dramatic thing. Other people can be very, very silent and subtle. Yeah? And this is the meaning and the ultimate purpose of why we became human beings. To come into this density we call 3D, to have full experience till you get it. How many times do you want your heart to be broken to stay open? To know that in fact that's what you are, is your freedom, is to stay open. And our basic instinct is very powerful. It's often kicked in when you're not ready. And even the levels of receptivity include what you can hear in this conversation. Yeah? Where levels of checks and balances that kicked in without you even knowing. And we often interpret according to where we know from the mind. Whereas when the heart's open and come into this conversation, it just takes it. The mind may not even notice anything much, but the level of your spirit heart will just open and soak in. And there's no one doing anything here to each other. This is a sharing, a pointing. And not only apparently from the speaker, from everyone in the room to each other. Because we all came from that one place. And you are just the latest manifestation of that you have appeared so many times before. Remember? You have full conscious say in prior to conception, all of us. I mean, even parents, including myself, we were shown the incoming child before conception. Some people have that experience also. It's not too far-fetched. So, who and what are you before you become a human? for a brief time in the history of mankind. So just a brief mention, I won't dwell on it. I mentioned briefly about where this one died into, source. In that powerful whisk of a shift, many previous, you could say, encounters, experiences, all flash through in a blip, kind of. There's no stop, it's just all the way back. You read about little rendition of this here and there in many NDE experience, near-death experience of people online they can talk about. But this is all the way. Yeah. This is what you're made of. This is what you are.
When you say all the way, do you mean like of this lifetime and
yeah,
this life?
all the way into even, you know, previous civilization, into being a dinosaur, being an ant. So this is why I'm offering this so simple a practice, but it's this subtle, the form reality practice. It looks like a very fine Tai Chi, but it's not Tai Chi. It's a dance of pure love. And each of us can learn that and start to tune back into the source of all movement, the silence of all sounds.